Hey everybody, welcome to a very special episode of Potato Cast. Today we're being joined by Kevin Tame
Hello.
and Neuropanther Michael,
How's it going?
and they've kindly offered up their commentary for my match today in the SOCR4 against forjay. So I'm just going to go ahead and mute my material and close this window, and they will do their thing while I do my thing. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate your
Good luck
time.
in the games.
So I'm not sure what forjay's on, but I know Doug is on Ag Infusion, and what else is he? What is his runner? I don't remember his runner. Oh, it's Kit, actually.
So, I assume our viewers are pretty familiar with Cash Refresh. But this, in case they're not, this is the 4th online Cash Refresh tournament. Cash Refresh is a limited format in Netrunner. You get fewer cards than the whole card pool. You get 1 core set, you get Terminal Directive, you get 1 deluxe box of your choice, and you get the cards from the 2 most recent cycles.
Yep. So
Of 2 and 2 players this round, I believe.
yes.
So very much live for potential top cut if they perform well from here on out.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to try and get the mining accidents off. I think Doug, I don't think he pays it. I don't know. I wouldn't pay it if it were me, because he's not going to be trashing a lot of assets. I mean, it is helpful on those, those runs, but the real tax with Ag Infusion is not necessarily money, but it's cards, right? It's the cards to get into the server. That's the real tax.
And clicks.
And clicks, yes.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think choosing to take the bad pub is a good idea here. forjay also sees the Komayinu. Obviously would assume that he had Komayinu, but knows that it's in hand and knows that any ice that gets installed could be that.
Yep. So Doug is rushing out behind an Enigma. Good call. Having the House of Knives there to ping, it's really nice.
Yes, it is. One of the best answers to a lot of breakers is get them out of hand. Know that they cannot any longer be conspiracy breakers.
Yep.
Of course, forjay does have one of the nice answers to that in hand right now in the form of I've had worse. Chooses to install liberated accounts, takes some money, just set up a little bit. So Doug's gonna, if he so chooses, is going to get the House of Knives, and we see that.
Yeah, I think this puts him in a good position to, if he has some good money cards, IPO, medical research, and now he's able to like just money up here and then start building this remote.
Yeah.
Which will set
one potential play is, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, so forjay sees the Maryland. Could potentially medical research jam the Maryland and then IPO, and then you're set up on money for a while. But that plays off the table. Maryland's in the trash now.
Yeah, I think he ices HQ because he doesn't want his operations getting pinged too much.
No. That would be bad news.
I think he medical researches, installs ice and IPOs. Yeah.
forjay's rich already. It's fine to give him some money.
Yep. Like I said, it's all a different tax. Swordsman,
and
he kills it right here.
Is not possible, right? Yeah.
Feedback filter not if he's on with, because he has Eater. So Eater's going to die right here.
Oof. Yeah, usually throwing down that Eater, you usually feel pretty safe running anywhere. Swordsman's one of the few ice in the Cash Refresh format that can really punish you. Does get to see the top of R&D.
I guess he's using Eater as a way Oh, he flatlined him.
Oh,
Oh,
the snare.
brutal.
Yeah. Didn't even have to House of Knives.
Brutal. The swordsman actually, put him in a position.
Mm-hmm. Right, because the I've had worse, maybe giving a false sense of security there.
Yeah, because it didn't. I don't know if I would have continued the run. In all honesty,
I'll be
because
honest, in his shoes, I probably would have. I would have forgotten about snare.
whew, that was a brutal start.
Yeah, that was a quick one. Let's say he instead accesses a hedge fund or something like that.
Mhm.
How do you think how do you think the matchup was set to go the rest of the game? Eater's a high value trash. forjay was rich.
So I think well, I've had worse is helpful, but not having feedback filter. So what Doug is going to do is he's going to get out data loop and he's going to get out like Kakugos, and that server is going to become very difficult.
Yeah.
And there becomes a point where you need, several clicks and like 8 cards to steal. And then with the House of Knives, I don't know if it was the best matchup for him, but he wants to pressure early. It's hard to say, right? Like it's really hard to say the way it was going to turn out, but losing the Eater was painful. But he had tons of money. Looks like he was on.
It would have been an interesting match. I think Doug had that late game inevitability because of what you just said. Like you can build a remote server it is impossible to steal an Obokata out of it.
So
and the only way to get one out of there is like an imp.
Yep. So here we're in this is Hunter Seek. He's got Hunter Seeker as his unicorn. And Doug is most likely playing Inversificator because he's on Professional Contacts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's on Proco and a bit of a mini Mopus in the form of Armitage.
Yeah,
and then also Liberated.
What's kind of unfortunate here for forjay is that Kit's ability, so it makes face checking ice okay if you have your Inversificator down, because if you hit a Sapper or anything like that, or you hit like a Roto Turret, you're able to still break it with Inversificator.
In addition, it makes it more difficult to rush because one ice servers are not safe.
Yes, exactly. And these Scorp decks want to rush. That's kind of like their game plan.
Yeah, I mean, if you give Kit enough time, the late game Shaper engine is pretty difficult to beat. Okay, so we see probably the most important agenda in forjay's hand. Needs some ice to be able to do something with that.
Yeah.
Making plenty of money with Melange. And is that... Oh, Junebug. Didn't get to see the spicy Junebug.
Yeah, that was a misplay on Doug's part. He probably should have pro code and then did the dirty laundry all in one turn.
Yeah.
Because then he was unable to trash. He was a credit or he had 0 credits. So he wasted a click there.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like he realizes it too.
Yeah, that happens.
Decides that Melange is worth going back despite losing the click there. I think that's the right decision.
Yeah, you don't want him to have money.
Nope. Not that kind of money, at least. Still some money, thanks to hedge fund, but chooses to rush out this biotic first.
I don't know if that's the right call. I think it costs too much to do that, and I don't know how many he has.
Yeah, biotic could potentially have been a late game knockout blow. Right now, maybe just needs to dig for more ice.
Yeah, I think you get ice and you want to rush. But but that's going to be hard against Doug because he
already has multiple breakers. Really, the only thing Doug's missing as far as breakers go is Gordian right now.
I think he's on Inversificator.
Oh, right. Sorry, a Koiga breaker of some type. I think you're right. It looks like Inversificator based on everything else. Throws more ice onto HQ rather than starting to build their amount. Ooh, punitive. That's right now not super relevant.
No, not relevant. Maybe that's
rich.
Maybe that's his main plan, is to punitive him.
Yeah. I might think scoring out is difficult against Kit, so the kill seems like a better option.
But not the amount of economy that he has.
Getting very close to being able to fire off that indexing.
And he's facing a firewall, so it doesn't really matter as long as he can find a versificator.
Yeah. No, I'm sure he knows just as well as us that Scorp could be on Hunter Seeker. Of course, we know that Hunter Seeker's in hand, so indexing is a potentially dangerous play, especially after you install something like Inversificator.
Yep, definitely.
Because that's a lot of tempo you lose.
So he's got the Hailstorm here. Remove a card in the heat from the game and end the run. Just looks like he's running some beefy barriers.
Yeah, we've got Firewall on R&D, right? And then a Hailstorm on the remote. These are not cheap for Inti.
Yeah, he's got to find a dedicated processor. I imagine that's what he has. He wants to hold on to this Inti. I would feel super tempted to pitch it, but I think he needs to hold on to it.
I think it's the right call to keep it, yeah.
Well, maybe he might have Scavenge, though, to bring it back. Yeah, that might, because he's probably not on clone chips.
It can't get locked down. So it can sit in the heap as long as you have a way to bring it back.
Is Arc Lockdown still available in Cache Refresh?
Nope, that was Flashpoint.
Yeah, so it can't get locked down now. So it's pretty safe there.
As long as you have a way to recur it.
Yeah, I imagine he has Scavenge.
Ooh, I like that. Fractal Threat Matrix.
Each time all of the subroutines are broken on a piece of ice protecting the server, trash the top 2 cards of the stack. That's
cute.
Yeah.
Now let's see. What ice is that relevant for that are currently on the board? Hailstorm, you can probably let the first subroutine fire.
Yeah. He's setting up something here. He's trying to do some damage.
Yeah, trying to bluff out that this is an Atlas or something else that Doug needs to come get. It's actually just a Breach Dome and a Fractal Threat Matrix. Oh, that's an interesting. It's an interesting interaction. The Fractal Threat Matrix does have synergy with Inversificator in the sense of Doug wants to break all the subroutines, even if he can theoretically let one fire.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's got to break them all.
We see a Fall Guy go down. I'm thinking the source when I see Fall Guy.
Well, it's also so was it Paper Trail is an agenda that allows you to trash resources, and losing losing as a connection.
Oh, it gets connections. Okay.
Yeah, and that one could be brutal.
That's a good call then. Yeah. We see a hostile.
I think Doug's in a good position here to do his indexing.
Yeah. Maybe probably wishes he had the one sack on, but can't afford to wait around forever. In case something gets scorped.
Unfortunately, this does put him. So he's gonna shift that.
Yeah, can swap this away. Wonder what he wants to swap on. Chooses the Ice Wall.
That's good.
That's a pretty good one. Inti has decent numbers with Ice Wall, especially on advanced. I imagine this indexing is about to get scorped with the same old thing on the table.
Yeah, so as forjay, what do you hunter seeker if you steal something?
There are three pretty tempting options. Inversificator is kind of the obvious. If you can get enough of those, you can lock him out. But liberated account and professional contacts are also very tempting.
Yep. Doug looks like he whiffed.
Must not have. forjay has another high risk now.
Oh, now he knows it's there.
Yeah. I guess maybe setting up for running HQ a few turns from now. Wanted to avoid the exact situation of getting Hunter Secret. Yeah, maybe figured that the 16 credits sitting on liberated accounts was a very tempting target and didn't want to lose all of those in a single go. Then again, I'm not sure that's what I'd choose if I were forjay.
So what is this? So each time all subroutines are broken on a piece of ice. So let's say he breaks ice wall, and then he shifts ice wall and breaks it again. This fires twice, so he loses.
Yep. 4 cards off the top of his stack.
That is brutal.
Yeah, and any of those can be scorped. So yeah, Doug going to HQ since he knows there's at least 3 points there, and might think there's more given how the game's played out. Sees another firewall. He can get through this with Inversificator. Not for super cheap, but there are more expensive servers.
Yeah, he has to swap it.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately he doesn't get to keep the strength, but it's not horrible.
But he does get to still use Inversificator rather than using Inti.
Yep, which is way worse.
Yeah. Sees the Punitive. Good information for him to have. Also sees the Hunter Seeker. So he knows about the 2 Punisher cards in HQ right now. And decides to draw instead of going back immediately.
I think eventually it might be good to actually pre-install this Inversificator. Because then he has 2 Inversificators on the board.
Yeah.
And so if Hunter Seeker does fire,
then he's got the backup.
Yeah,
in addition, you can use both Inversificators.
Yeah, exactly.
They're both a once per turn trigger, so he could theoretically run HQ, get both of these. Well, he can only get one of them off. Run HQ, throw one of these onto a different server, and then another turn go back and throw another one off. If there's ever a res code gate, then having 2 Inversificators becomes more relevant.
Oh, and he's got the dummy box, which is
okay, that's
useful. Good. The problem with dummy box though is that you trash a card, and so they could potentially remove that from the game.
True. But you can at least avoid the tempo hit of having to reinstall Inversificator. Exactly. It's obviously great if you can find, if I don't know what utility programs Doug has in his deck, but if you trash an SMC to save your Inversificator when you don't need the SMC anymore, that's wonderful.
Yep.
So Doug moneying back up, knows about the Punitive, knows it's important for him to have money.
I think it's good because it looks like I think forjay's game plan is to try and punitive him. Well, maybe this server, I mean, if he can trash some stuff, but Doug's kind of safe right now.
Yeah.
He's got good economy. He's got 2 Inversificators. He's in a good spot. Yeah,
until forjay makes an aggressive move, Doug can afford to sit back, build his board state, and just, you know, this remote's locked down. Nothing's ever happening out of this remote. And he knows that there's 3 points in HQ that he can run back and get at some point when he feels comfortable doing so.
Yeah, Dummy Buck is a good include, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's a way to get around the fact that there's only one sack on in Cash Refresh. If you Shaper, you know, all of those make the utility programs work for you, not the other way around. So does the same thing as before, breaks the ice wall, swaps it, breaks the ice wall again, gets to see 2 from HQ.
Hopefully he doesn't hit this snare here.
Yeah, hitting the snare and 3 points puts him in a somewhat dangerous position. Just these 3 points. Money's up to avoid any punitive shenanigans just in case.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah, seeing having.
I mean, it's far enough in the game that it isn't unusual to see this many points. It's just forjay, I'm sure, wishes he had more than 3 right now. It's very tough to have to, like, the rush just really didn't work this game.
What do you trash? Do you trash the nanotech? I think you trash the nanotech. Oh, he trashes an inversificator or an inversificator.
Yeah, saves inversificator with inversificator. That makes sense to me.
I bet you he has 3 of them.
It's important enough that I'd probably play 3. You want to see it super early, and still potentially have your SMC for other things.
Mm-hmm.
So forjay does get he gets 1 inversificator out of the game. I would say still in a fairly rough spot. I think Doug is still in a pretty commanding position here. Yeah, Dirty Laundry's into R&D, just knows he can get in with inversificator and wants to make forjay spend some money.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a firewall on the outside. What's the inner ice?
Ice wall.
Okay.
I think Doug doesn't want to risk it, though, because he wants his money. He'll probably write it down.
Yeah, I would think so. That also sets the that sets up the run back the next turn, get him to spend more money.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Ooh.
Well, the win's in HQ now.
Yep.
It was before, but now there's a higher chance of the win in HQ.
Yeah, these agenda draws have not been stellar for. Oh, this is interesting. You put urban renewal in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
force him to run through, force him to break subroutines, and then you get fractal hits. That's a little expensive right now, though, for forjay.
To res it?
To res the fractal, to res the hailstorm. The ice wall is not bad.
I think
also, kind of the tricky thing here. Yeah, the tricky thing is if he reses this and says, "Oh, like you should run this server," Doug can just call his bluff and say, "I'll run a different server."
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. You're not gonna win by scoring out of that server. That's not points.
Yeah, because since he stole the other Atlas, it's likely anything he installs there after, like let's say this was an Atlas, so and Doug lets it score. forjay is then on 5 points, so he can't install an Atlas and force him to run through there, right? Because there's no more. There's no more
Yeah,
2-pointers.
the closest is you can install 3 ones.
Yeah, or you could install if you have like a
OBCV indexing.
Yeah,
Going for the win here.
I think it's good timing.
Yeah.
Though if Doug doesn't see it, I think the play is, if he doesn't see an agenda here, he probably wants to hit HQ.
Potentially. It's going to be expensive to hit HQ because you have to break with Inti.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's okay. It's actually not that much more expensive since Inti keeps its strength. It's not that much more expensive than going with Inversificator.
Oh, but it's 8, 9, 10 versus
versus 8.
8.
So that's reasonable. And yeah, I think hitting HQ, there's a decent chance there are agendas in there, based on how the game's played out and the fact that the remote's been locked this long. Yeah, I think that's the right call. Either that or...
And he also knows there's a high risk in there.
Oh, right. Well, he saw a high risk and he pulled one high risk, so he doesn't know there are any more,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Yeah. Indexing gets scorped. I imagine we'll find out momentarily if Doug saw something.
He just took money.
Just took money.
So I think he's setting up probably for next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, probably wants to run HQ next turn, I would think. Knows that agendas are not in R&D, so it's either build your board state or hit HQ.
I think you get rid of punitive.
I think so. At this point, punitive does nothing for you. Priority construction. Does that do enough? I mean, the only ice that you can throw down with it right now is a Tithonium. Which doesn't get anything from the advancement counters, but potentially if he finds an ice wall, that's a nice tax for 1 credit to res. Actually, I think he's found all of the ice walls. There are 2 on the table right now. Yep. Hits a breach dome.
Whew. Remove the other inversificator.
Ouch. Well, that's 2 gone. If forjay is on standoffs, could potentially get the 3rd. Seems rough though.
I think one of the better plays for forjay right now is maybe putting an ice over HQ, because that makes it really difficult for him to get in.
Has to break at least 1 fireball with Inti. Finds money. Finds another agenda, but not one that will immediately win the game for Doug. Doug has to actually access a high risk to win this game, based on how things stand right now. I think forjay has at this point drawn through the indexing cards, so Doug can go back at some point if he wants. See new stuff. Not resing the fractal threat. Probably just too expensive at this point, I guess.
Well, and I don't think it actually benefits him. He has a lot of stuff. Like, he loses 4 cards from the stack, right? Yeah. Or just 2 cards from the stack.
Yeah, what's left in the stack that Doug really needs, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I mean, he has his pieces.
Has all the breakers down, has HQ interface down, has really stable economy going.
Yeah, I think Fractal would have been a lot more painful if like Doug had run that earlier and hit it.
Yeah, Doug not biting on the Breach Dome bait was a huge moment in this game.
Yeah, because it would have like potentially lost a lot of other cards. Oh man, HQ is just getting.
Oof.
I think Doug knows that agendas must be piling up there.
Yeah. But he's got enough money. This remote's pretty much on lock.
Yeah, he can go either way.
Doesn't cost him that much of his geez. Doug has so many good options right now. I mean, do you run HQ?
I think you do. Like if it were me,
Maker's Eye, or do you run the remote? I think doing 2 of those this turn is a good idea.
I mean, I think you win. It's highly likely you win off of HQ. I mean, you win off of server 3, right? We have that information.
Yeah. But if nothing else, I think running the server at some point this turn is a good idea, just to keep him honest. You know that Hailstorm isn't that expensive for you to get through.
I actually don't know if I would personally res it because I would probably assume it's a snare.
Fair enough.
That'd be like my first assumption, because, or that like he's kind of in the never advance mode, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's a good call.
Goes for Maker's Eye. Yeah. I think running the 2 centrals first is a good idea, but I think there's something to be said for running server 3 on click 3, so you can clear a tag if it is a snare.
Yep. But it becomes very expensive for him. I guess he can shift one of these cards. The Hailstorm.
Yeah, worth Firewall and Hailstorm are almost the exact same.
See, so Doug has to run HQ, I think.
Yeah.
Like at this point, not seeing anything off of. Wow.
Oh, okay. Just chooses to make money. So forjay snuck one by him with that Atlas. Now, as we mentioned before, the bad news is this puts him on 5 points with no easy 2 points to be had.
Yeah, but he can maybe, there's only one hostile. I guess he can put out the illicit sales.
Right.
Do that kind of never advanced plan that way.
Yeah, it has to
do it twice.
Yeah, the never advanced play has to work twice. To have a snare to use for one of those if he chooses to not keep it in HQ.
I think Doug has to poke HQ though.
I think so. I think that
even if you hit the snare, like it's the worst. That's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, hitting the snare in the hedge fund is like the only real bad thing. Doug knows there's a Breach Dome in Archives.
That might have been a misplay, I think.
Maybe thought. I mean, at this point, knowing there's nothing in Archives, knowing there's nothing on the top of R&D, I'd have to think Doug's got a decent idea there's something in HQ. But forjay can money up this turn and jam the illicit arms.
So he goes with the snare. Oh, and
snare on the outside, or illegal illicit sales on the outside.
Yeah, illicit sales on the outside. I think it's a smart play. He's kind of in a desperate position. Make him run twice.
Yeah. He's behind, so it makes sense to go for the high variance plays. Now, the win is there.
I think
the dedicated processor coming down. I think that's a clear signal he's about to run HQ. Man, dedicated processor does quite a bit of work in this matchup. All of these 5 strength barriers.
Yeah, he's going to hit
choosing to run server 3. So we'll get a snare in the face.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Like sometimes when you have snares in these decks, you just kind of got to get rid of them. And it's no better time, right?
It could scare him off of running server 5 or HQ though.
I think it definitely scares him off. I don't think he runs there.
Yeah. I don't think you can. I think you have to clear the tag and draw it.
Yeah, I don't think Doug. He's got to clear this.
Yeah, there's no reason not to, I think. If nothing else, could potentially strand money on the Armitage. Yeah, clears the tag.
When you scroll,
Well,
it says you may take 1
6
bad
points.
publicity, gain 3 for each bad publicity that you have.
Could go to 13 credits. Yeah, okay. So runs are going to be fairly cheap for Doug now, but I think forjay needs the money.
Yeah, I don't think there's any more 3-2s available to him, honestly. I think
There aren't any.
I don't know if Doug has figured that out.
Yeah, everything else is a 3-1 or a 4-2. And actually, I think Wayland doesn't even have that many 4-2s in this format. Go.
He has to go HQ.
I think so, yeah. So Perko's up twice.
He might try an index here and see if he
Yeah,
can.
the indexing. Oh man, the indexing's baiting him. Oh.
But let's see. He probably, let's see, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He probably only
So there's only 1 point left.
Yeah, he's only going to see another like illicit sales or something.
Yeah. And at that point, you would have to think runs HQ.
Well, but stealing the illicit sales makes it very difficult. Illicit sales is his only out.
True. True.
That's a good call.
Yep, runs HQ.
You probably. I wonder if he didn't see.
I mean, at the very least, you could just throw the illicit sales to the bottom of the pile. Say you're not going to win for the next 5 turns, unless you click to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click to draw it, and I know it's in your hand, I can just run HQ. Meanwhile, I'll see if there's something else in HQ.
When you
Sees the beanstalk
and
gets the high risk.
Good
Okay.
game. So, question here: so when you boost with dedicated processor, you don't actually get the remainder of this to run?
No, that's only with the native NT boost.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're encountering strength 6, strength 6 bearers, it's correct to boost once with NT's natural and then the rest with dedicated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey gang, how's it going?
Hey,
how's it going?
Ooh, I need to chill out a little bit here. That was really tense.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That second one a bit more than the first. The first was over pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was tough. I mean, I really attacked hard against Scorpios, and I'm glad I did because it was close enough as it was.
So is the dummy box a normal include, or was that Scorpio stack?
Scorpios.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had Fall Guy in pretty much all the time, just because losing professional contacts is such a huge hit. And yeah, there's only one SatCon, and I was like, oh, maybe dummy box would be good to go. So
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it did good work for you that game.
Yeah, man.
So
Okay.
I have a question for you, Doug.
Sure.
We obviously had perfect knowledge, so we were able to see. But there was like a time there towards the last like 3 or 4 turns where you weren't poking HQ, but you like Maker's Eye, you had like indexed and not seen anything. And I'm just wondering, did you not have like inclination to like run back into HQ? Because he was really loaded there. He had like two high risk investments and like illicit sales and like an Atlas and all this stuff at one time.
Yeah, so I think I was considering it, but I think that I had only seen like 3 or 4 pips of influence, and so I thought there were a couple of snares in HQ. Because I'd put one back on top with indexing that he had drawn. And so like when I hit the snare in the remote, I was, pretty sure that it was either the snare or winning agenda. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I counted better, then I might have known. But I was worried about hitting multiple snares with a HQI.
Yeah, but he doesn't he didn't have, there's no more 3-2s available to him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally right. Yeah.
So like he was in a position where he had to win off of like bluffing out these illicit sales.
That's right.
I don't know what I don't know what you saw on that last indexing. Did you see another agenda?
Yeah, I put in illicit sales on top.
And
that would have put me on 6, and so there were only 6 cards left in the stack. So I figured he must have had a loaded HQ at that point.
Yeah, or you don't want to have him Hunter Seeker, right? If you just steal that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well played, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys said throughout the game. Really appreciate your time and your, your insights. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think it was I don't think he had anything but barriers. So having multiple inties and multiple imversificators, I think was a good call.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of barriers, aren't there?
I think they're all barriers, actually.
Yeah, I guess the kind of the Hatchet Scorp strategy without Hatchet and Salem, but just you try to tax them out of a particular type of breaker, and then every server's ironclad.
I mean, I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, fractors are, well, I don't know. It seems fractors in this format are pretty poor, and so it seems like it'd almost be better to do a mix of barriers and code gates and just try to take out their decoder and leave them with an inefficient fractor. But
so question, we were also talking about like your first game. Obviously there wasn't much to see there, but like, did you feel like you were in a good place at that point in the game?
I felt okay about it. Like my econ was looking all right, and getting an early House of Knives is really helpful. But yeah, I don't know. It could have gone either way, but I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah, just get it over with, right?
Yeah. I mean, I fell asleep watching a nature documentary before this match, so I was happy to have like a little break where first match is just kind of done in the bag.
That's helpful. It also, I think it helped, confidence and stuff for the next match, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, hey, nice job.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Good games.
Good luck, guys. See you around.
Okay. Talk to you later.